Congresswoman Debbie Lesko of Arizona joins us right now. You can find her on Twitter at Rep D Lesko, Lesko. Congresswoman, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Mary. I appreciate it.
I found this story. Now, I noticed I have things that we wanted to discuss with you, but I found this story out of the EU Times. I don't know if you're familiar with it, so I apologize if I'm blindsiding you. What it basically says is Germany now has a bill that would ban the sale of wood to the general public because they don't want people using it to heat their homes because they stopped their nuclear power, right? And that was a big deal in Germany. They got rid of that. And they're trying to push everyone to electric. So people started hoarding wood and started using wood pellets for their stoves and going out and foraging wood and buying wood so they could heat their homes this past winter. But now they're saying, well, that may not be environmentally friendly. Have we hit the point of just not being serious about anything anymore?
I think so. And unfortunately, President Biden and many of my Democratic colleagues are in same line as Germany. I mean, they want to ban American-made natural gas that is used for a majority of producing our electricity here in the United States. And they're pushing for unreasonable expectations on all solar, all wind. My Democrat colleagues have endorsed new nuclear, like modular nuclear, but that's down the road. That's going to take years to implement. And so, Germany shut down their last nuclear plant, and it's really opposite of what the other parts of Europe have done. For instance, I was just in Poland. They're ramping up their nuclear production. And so Germany is really interesting because they want to ban all kinds of things. People are desperate. They want to use wood pellets to heat, and now they're saying, oh, you can't use that either. So what are they supposed to do?
So if I were to get out my tinfoil hat and polish it this early in the morning, I would say, well, it's about control, because if everyone is on the same system, if everyone is forced to use electricity, right, you can very easily shut that down. Right. If you want to control the populace, what's one way to do it? That is one of the ways. That's one of the elements, because if they're freezing in the summer, freezing in the winter, and really dying of the heat in the summer, it's a great way to control behavior. Now, I realize that may be down the rabbit hole a little far for some people, but I don't understand it. I don't see any other explanation.
Well, there's some, I can't speak for Germany, but I imagine it's the same as here. President Biden and some of my Democratic colleagues, they have this belief system, and it doesn't matter what reality is. It doesn't matter that it doesn't work. They want zero emissions by a certain date in the very near future, and they don't care what stands in its way. They don't care if the technology is not there. They don't care if people's electricity doesn't work. And, as was just projected again, another report said there's going to be electricity grid problems this summer when the heat is high, because of all of these crazy policies that are going on here in the United States. And Germany was just ahead of us. They've made some very poor decisions. They became really reliant on Russian oil, and that really backfired on them, and now they got rid of their nuclear plants. So it's really hurting the German citizens, and I don't want that to happen here in the United States, and that's why I've been pushing back on some of these radical policies that Biden and the Democrats are pushing, because it's not good. It's not good for Germany. It's not good for the United States.
No, it's not. And I will tell you, one of the drums that I beat a lot is that Republicans are terrible at messaging. I don't hire me. I will do it for you. It's not that hard, but they're terrible at it. I mean, all they had, I would love to see advertisements that say, do you know where electricity comes from? I mean, that's all. Those are the only words you can put on big billboards. Do you know where electricity comes from? Because most people don't know where it comes from, and they don't understand that electricity doesn't magically come out of the wall.
Yeah,
you have to generate it somehow.
You're totally right. And a lot of people are pushing for all electric vehicles, but they don't realize that most of the electricity, at least in Arizona, comes from American-made natural gas. And natural gas, and then in Arizona it's nuclear, then coal, then hydroelectric. They don't realize it has to come from somewhere. The other thing they don't realize is that the batteries, the lithium-ion batteries that are used in electric vehicles are mostly made in China. And China is increasing the amount of coal-powered electric plants that it has on their grid because they need the electricity to make the batteries. Yeah. So when they're pushing all of this stuff where the critical minerals like lithium are mostly processed in China, or where China produces most of these batteries, all they're doing is helping China, and it's not helping reduce global emissions because China is increasing coal plants. So none of this makes any sense at all.
No, and you've got the whales and dolphins dying off the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, in that area, just record number. And we're just pretending that it has nothing to do with the sonar to map the ocean floor for wind farms. We're just going to pretend that that's not happening. Their morals and their values are very fungible. I do want to get to the debt ceiling talks before you just run out of time talking about energy. So we've Kevin McCarthy came out and said no debt ceiling deal yet, but he had productive talks with Biden and his team, but he did threaten to cancel the Memorial Day vacation. Do you see us having a deal by June 1st?
That is really hard to say because I'm not in the room, and I don't think even Speaker McCarthy knows right now because it takes two to tango, right? And so the Republicans have been the responsible adults in the room. We already passed a bill that increases the debt ceiling, but in exchange for that does reasonable, responsible slowing down of out-of-control government spending. And so we've combined the two. We passed it out of the House, and now it's up to Biden to negotiate. And Kevin McCarthy has been asking for negotiations since January, and it's not till the last second that Biden has finally come to the table, but apparently still demanding all the stuff that he wants and not giving in on anything that Republicans want. Well, this is a divided government. The U.S. House of Representatives has a Republican majority, so we have a say in this, and we are the responsible ones. We cannot continue borrowing and not having any type of credit limit. This is like having a credit card with no limit, like no limit at all on a credit card, and you just go out and keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. Do you know that our interest on our national debt is soon expected to exceed our entire budget for the Department of Defense? This is a national security risk, and we cannot continue down this path. We have to be responsible and rein in all of this out-of-control government spending.
Well, if we could keep the Pentagon from losing money and, maybe passing an audit every now and then, we'd have more money. There's always that, and a lot of that has to do, obviously, irresponsible spending. It's surprising to me, and I'm maybe you don't want to answer this question, but it's surprising to me that Kevin McCarthy has performed the way he did. I'm pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect him to be a strong speaker, but to me, he's stepping up to the plate. And Republicans seem to be hanging together, which is not something they're known for. Is that due to Kevin McCarthy's leadership?
Well, I think he's doing a really good job as well. And I think it's a combination of Kevin McCarthy's good leadership, but also a combination of a group of conservative folks that want to change the trajectory of this out-of-control government spending. And so when you have a block of conservatives, Kevin McCarthy needs those for the votes that he needs. And so I think it's a combination of both, and I'm very pleased about it.
Yes, as I said, so am I. I did not have high hopes, and so I have been pleasantly surprised. If we do, quote unquote, default, I'm hearing pictures of doom and gloom, and frogs are going to rain from the skies and swarms of locusts, and it's going to be terrible. we always hear about, Social Security payments are going to stop, unemployment payments are going to stop. We never hear about Congress's pay being stopped. Would that be a way for Republicans maybe to win some public support in standing strong by saying, no, you know what, we're going to say that Congress has to stop. Congress is, their pay is going to stop first.
Yeah,
that's something I'd like to see.
That's probably a good idea. I mean, I don't know if we'd get the votes for it, but I think it's a good idea because it shows to the American public that we care about curbing government spending. And most people, unfortunately, think that Congress members are not the greatest actors, except for their own Congress members who they usually reelect.
Right.
But, we have to put our money where our mouth is. And so I think that's probably a good idea. Now, I hope we don't default, and I don't know for sure if all this doom and gloom is reality or if it's just pushing us, this alarmism. I saw on the one of the nightly news programs last night, they had a woman on there saying, she was going to lose her husband's, VA benefits or something, which is just not accurate, And so some of this is fear-mongering, to try to break the Republicans. But, as I've said before, our interest payment on our national debt is going to exceed the entire budget for the Department of Defense. That's not good. That's scary. That's scary. We need to get this under control, and we can. And we've already passed a bill that will do it.
Yeah, well, best of luck with this. And again, I am so excited to see Republicans actually stand strong the way Democrats usually do. Democrats will line up and, the Republicans usually form a circular firing squad. So this is a refreshing change, especially when it comes to spending, to your point about the debt that we are handing down to our children and grandchildren. And most people don't realize that. I don't think most Americans understand that or know that, and I think it would behoove Republicans to really hammer that message home to gain some support from the American people on their stance. Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much, Mary. You have a great day.
Thank you.